Hey guys, what's going on? This is Kyle at ProjectionHub, and today I'm going to be talking about how do you know if you need to write a business plan? Whether you're a startup or an acquisition or an existing business, I'm going to go into details and try to clarify who needs to write a business plan and why you might need to put together a business plan. As I mentioned, my name is Kyle. I am the Director of Marketing here at ProjectionHub, but I also lead all of our custom business plan writing services. So I've been with ProjectionHub for about 4 years now, have helped over 10,000 different small businesses create a business plan using our free business plan templates, as well as a couple of hundred custom business plans have been written in the last year or so. Chance to help with a lot of those that have even gone on, a big chunk of those have gone on to get funding. In my time before ProjectionHub, I was an SBA loan officer for almost 7 years. So I was reviewing the business plans, putting together the loan application package, giving feedback on those business plans for startups, acquisitions, existing businesses, you name it. So a lot of experience reading business plans, know what to look for in them. And I am going to try and clarify today for you if you need a business plan and what situations would warrant one. If at any point you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. We make content for startups and business owners in general around creating business plans, creating financial projections, getting SBA loans, and everything involving around that. So if at any point you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below the video. We're very active responding down there. And you can also contact us at support@projectionhub.com. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. All right, here we go. I am going to use a couple of visual aids here to help me demonstrate who needs to put together a business plan, a couple of quick tips about those business plans, and some resources you can go to get some help. So I have pulled up here our free SBA loan application checklist. Now, I might have mentioned in the introduction that we specialize in financial projections, business plans, and helping people get SBA loans. And so if you're considering writing a business plan, my guess is it might be on your radar to get some funding or financing. And if you're located in the United States, chances are high that you've heard of or you might be considering getting an SBA loan. The advice I'm about to give you applies to pretty much any business that fits in these categories, but especially if you're seeking an SBA loan. So keep that in mind. And so this checklist is available for free. You can go grab your own copy of it. It basically just, especially if you're trying to get an SBA loan, has lots of resources, how to find a lender, the typical process, what documents you need, which we're about to talk about right now, and links to a bunch of helpful resources involved in there. So let's think about this in 3 different buckets. So you can put yourself in these buckets. Are you a startup business? So think true startup. SBA's definition of a startup is a little bit different than maybe what I would like to consider a startup is going to be like, are you pre-revenue? Like, have you sold anything yet? Are you pretty much starting from scratch? If that's the case, I would recommend writing a business plan, whether you need to get financing or funding or not. You probably don't need to waste a ton of time putting together a business plan if you have no need to get outside funding. And maybe you're just going to start with your own cash, or maybe you're starting as a side hustle or something like that. So my advice for what that business plan looks like would be a little bit more subdued. It would be shorter. It would be notes. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to have a bunch of graphics in it. More so just say, put things down on paper that are going to help you feel like you kind of got a stable foundation. Like you know where you want to go. That's a thing you can kind of keep coming back to keep you on track, is what I would recommend for you there. Now, let's say you do need some funding or financing or investment for your startup, then absolutely you need a business plan. That is probably the most important, most likely case where you would need to do a business plan if you're a true startup and you're going to need some sort of outside funding, especially if that's an SBA loan. Now, you can see again on my checklist here, we go into the documentation you would need for if you're a startup, existing business, or an acquisition. 10 times out of 10, an SBA lender is going to require a business plan if you're a true startup and you're looking for financing or funding. So I would strongly encourage you to do that. Worth mentioning as a part of your business plan, but also as a standalone document, you're also going to need financial projections. Now, lenders will differ between how those projections should look or how many years they want. When we're helping people put together projections or business plans, we're always doing 5 years of financial projections. Someone may only want 2, some may want 3. So we're always doing out to 5 years projections. And so I would keep that in mind. But yes, you need to have a business plan if you're a startup. If you're, again, just to reiterate, if you're not needing outside funding, I would still recommend going through the exercise of business planning, but in just a different level of detail, but more so from your personal notes and kind of keep you on track. So let's go to an existing business. So you're an established business, let's say at least a year, in business with revenue, expenses, or even at least 2 years. So you've got historical revenue, historical expenses, and let's say, now this is going to come down to situational. You probably don't have the need to business plan on a year-to-year basis. I would call what you would need to do more strategic planning. Like same thing, you got to document document, you got a piece of paper, and you've got goals, you've got a review of where you've been, maybe some opportunities, that kind of stuff, but more so for internal strategic planning, not a formal business plan. Now, but let's think about this in terms of if you need to get funding, maybe you want to get a loan. I would think about this from, why do you need the loan? Are you refinancing and cleaning up some debt, paying off some credit card debt, consolidating some bad debt, something like that? Or are you trying to expand the business, trying to get some large new piece of equipment, or you're trying to get an in-person office, a physical location, and trying to buy a building, something that is going to be a step forward and expand the business? In those cases, let's say you're working with a lender, they're probably not going to require a business plan, a full business plan at least. They might require kind of a breakdown, but that's going to come down to how significant is the expansion, how significant is your existing operation. Like if you are just generating cash like nobody's business and it's very clear you can afford the expansion, the lender's probably not going to ask a lot of questions about what your game plan is. They're going to look at the numbers, and if it makes sense and your debt service coverage ratio is high enough, they're not going to mess around with reading a business plan or request one because they're not going to want to slow down the process. If you're thinking a little bit more creatively, you're trying to position an expansion you're working into. Let's say you're beyond break even, but insanely profitable, and it's, you're really going to have to make a case for how is the new loan going to increase revenue or increase efficiency and reduce your expenses. I still think it's unlikely they're going to ask for a full business plan, but what they will likely require is financial projections. So again, if you're looking for a financing, that's going to be more of a cleanup of loans or paying off debt and, bad debt and that kind of stuff, consolidation. They may not even ask for financial projections. They just might want a debt schedule, and then, they can do the simple math on how debt payment gets improved. But if you're planning to do an expansion, like I described, what might fall into the category of an expansion, you should expect to do financial projections. And honestly, I would just encourage you to do it before they would ask you to. So you can start to do the numbers on like, is this, going to pay for itself and then some? They're going to need to see that, especially if it's for an SBA loan. Existing business expansion, probably not on a business plan. Yes, on financial projections, most likely. Now let's go to kind of the love child of startups and existing businesses, and that is an acquisition. So you're planning to buy a business that's already established. Most likely, again, especially if you're going to be seeking outside financing or investment, you will likely need a business plan, especially if you're going the financing route, and especially if you're going SBA, a business plan is going to be required. So that is something you should be planning to do. In addition to that, financial projections are going to be required and something I would encourage you to do. When you're buying a business, there are some things that are more simple and straightforward, and there are some things that are a whole lot more complicated because of the things that are going into that. So writing your business plan is going to be focused a little bit more on, for an acquisition, it's going to be focused a little bit more on what the business has done, what the opportunity is moving forward, and how are you going to handle that transition between, and do you have the team that's capable of doing that? I mean, that's really what your business plan is going to be focused on in your projections too. If you're a startup, your business plan is going to be focused more on what's the concept, what's the idea, what's the opportunity, do you have the team in place to do it, how much is it going to cost, how are you going to use the money? It's a little bit more hypotheticals, whereas your acquisition, you're going to be talking more about real facts and what you hope to do in the future from that. There you have it. You take the buckets between startup, existing business, and acquisition. When are the cases you're going to need a business plan? And the real answer is it just depends, depending upon the nuances of how much of a startup are you? How much of an existing business are you? Is it a true acquisition? Are you buying a business that's been shut down for a few years? And then also, how are you planning, or what are you needing? Are you needing financing? Are you needing investment? Are you just needing internal planning? That's going to change into that question. So I hope that this video was insightful. I just now realized I kept you on the checklist the whole time, which is fine. You should grab a copy of this. It will help, especially if you're trying to get financing or an SBA loan. This will be really helpful for you. But I was going to point out, we have, especially if you're a startup business, I think over 75 now industries for free business plan templates. Here is a version of our acquisition one. So again, you can go grab your free copy of this. It talks about these key points. It'll give you a fictitious example, including a little bit of a description on what you should include in each section. There's one acquisition one, and then we've got 75 industries for startup business plan. So you can go grab a copy of that one. And in the event that you need any help with the business plan, you can check out our business plan writing services. We also handle taking care of the financial projections. And if you're on the hunt for an SBA loan, that's something we can help with too. If you have any questions, reach out to us either down in the comments below the video, or you can contact us directly at support@ProjectionHub.com. We would be happy to answer your questions and help you out. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.